The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Ads with Simon Pound from simonpound.com.
It is the ad feature where we hang out with Simon Pound just for a little while and we go deep inside the advertising industry. And I do believe that today we're going back in time with Simon Pound. Hello to you, Simon. How are you today?
Splendid, thank you, sir. And yourself?
Very, very well indeed. So we're going back in time today, Simon.
Yes, indeed. As people watching television in Z would have seen, there's a 50 years of television anniversary going on at the moment.
I hate that ad, by the way.
It's an interesting choice to use the Cheers song, among other things. But we, on the Ad Show, decided to mark 50 years of TV advertising to tie in with that. So we threw, in fine advertising tradition, a long lunch, and we shot that at Clooney with Mike Hutchison, who was one of the founders of Colenso, which is really the first major modern Kiwi agency that helped the people from there went on to work prominently at all kinds of places like Saatchi & Saatchi in the 90s, and so they really are the influential agency. We also talked to Neil Livingston of 99, who spent more than 30 years working through there, and Jeff Dixon, who for nearly 40 years was one of New Zealand's most successful ad producers, and he had that company Silver Screen that from 74 through to just a year or two ago was responsible for pretty much every big ad you can think of. What we did was we didn't want to just kind of look back and play old ads and go, wasn't it funny how they wore flares, and look, isn't that funny how the 70s were? So we kind of looked at things that how the agency kind of shaped, how the industry culture, advertising culture shaped New Zealand, what the ads tell us about where New Zealand was at, and some other stuff as well. So we kind of looked through and looked at how the ads were in the early days, how we'd imported a British culture. We moved on to how in the 70s a really distinct New Zealand identity started to come through. So we had things like Chesendale and a rural identity, and they started to play to that instead of importing this British culture. Then we looked through to the importance of advertising to the creative industries, so how it helped set up film. And in the 80s, we went through some great stories. So just to run through, I thought we could run through some of the ideas in the show, and then you've got some clips sitting there for people who have the Ustream or the YouTube abilities, just showing some of these big moments, and then as a bit of a teaser for the show tonight. The 60s, we play in the show the first ad shot in this country, according to director Tony Williams, who's quite a legendary ad director. He pointed out this ad for Jockey, and in the ad, a businessman, Peter Harcourt, walks into a bank, and it says, "Hello, excuse me, sir, underneath your trousers, what have you got?" And the ad actually flashes. We've got the audio on that, shall we?
Yeah. We should have some audio. Where's the audio gone? Yep, it's very quiet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I'll just turn that up a bit. Hang on, here we go.
Yeah, start that one again from the beginning. It's Bonza.
It's okay. Hang on. See if this. It's one of these. It's designed like an old VHS player. The website. It's very nice. Very nice design.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Ever wondered what the well-dressed man wears next to his skin? That man there, say. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind? Oops, as you'd expect, jockey. Thank you, sir. Men choose jockey.
It's a lovely ad. Excuse me, sir. Oops, jockey. And that really sums up a lot of the 60s. It's black and white. The pronunciation's very plummy. But what that ad originally had was the guy stands there and it flashes to his undies. But the original one just had it flashing to him standing there in his undies. So what they had to do was make a tamer version that we saw there that just had the undies and not the skin. So that was the start of things. And there were a bunch of great fun ads through the 60s there. There's a window lean one that we play in the show that has a transvestite, a man dressed as a woman come through and kick a bucket over and then talk in a deep voice. It's very funny. Also, towards the end of the 60s, that was when we started to see some really individual New Zealand creative come through. Bob Harvey, we speak to him, and he helped to helm this Make Things Happen ad for the Labour Party. And it was really revolutionary for a couple of ideas. First, that it actually was treating the election process like another advertisement. So it had it treated it like a commodity, which was quite a rare new thing. Also, it pioneered split-screen technology here. That he said that he nicked the idea from the Thomas Crown affair that he saw on a plane.
Very stylish. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's got a great soundtrack and a great kind of approach. One of the reasons they did split screen was because it made the leader, Kirk, who wasn't a very young or dynamic or exciting guy, look youthful, dynamic and slimmer, which, is everything advertising is accused of being in the bad thing, style over substance and distorting mirror. But it's a wonderful, wonderful ad, and it works.
Yeah, I was going to say, this commercial, this Labour Party commercial from 1969 almost looks like something that advertising people would love to create now. It's so retro and beautiful and possibly effective. I don't know. Was it effective? I can't remember.
It was effective, and it was very, very cool. It subtly references things like Vietnam in there in a very cool way. Nothing banging people over the head. It gives a lot of intelligence to the viewer, and it feels modern. And so often, when with technology you try to be modern, you fail. And this was just revolutionary.
Yeah.
So that was a really strong ad showing kind of even if it was a borrowed idea, it really showed some local creative flair. Another one that happened just the next year in 1970 was an ad for Greg's Coffee. And this ad showed normal people on television. It shot along Lambton Quay and Oriental Parade in Wellington. And it showed a bunch of normal people enjoying a day at the beach and walking around on the street. And a guy kind of looking out the window in one of the ads, a bit rear windowy, looking at all these people. And then he sits down to his Greg's Coffee. And it was great because it was one of the first ones to show Māori and Pacific Island people on TV and just normal people. And it's a great little, it's a real, a time capsule in a way that not all ads are. And apparently the cups in the advertisement, they're these wonderful Crown Lynn cups with these diamond designs. They ended up being an enormous seller for Crown Lynn as a result of this.
And they still are. Mm.
And and now, you have to sell your firstborn in order to find one at some overpriced junk shop. Another great one from the 70s would be Ches and Dale, and a whole bunch of real New Zealand-centric things started to show up on screen, and so too did some quite fruity and interesting things.
Let's go out on the Ches and Dale.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We could look at the 80s and 90s next week. This ad's a great one for one of the reasons that shows like this are fun from time to time. You do just hear the jingle, and it will remind a lot of people of a lot of good memories.
All right. See you next time, Simon.
Cheers, mate.
There's much better value in Chesdale. It never fails to please. Chesdale slices thinly, never crumbles. There's no waste. And boy, it's got a mighty taste. Chesdale cheese, its finest cheddar, made better